Hey, what's going on, guys? This is JDMOONAN. I'm coming at you guys with another Magicka DK build video for the Wolfhunter patch. This is basically going to be the Proctologist striking again. So I was having a lot of fun with this build. We were doing a very interesting prototype build, and the prototype is still currently in the works, but I ended up coming out with more of a solo build that actually worked pretty well. I really enjoyed it. I played it in both non-CP, in CP, and as well as BGs, and it's performed fairly well in all three categories, as well as done fairly decent and in also duels as well. One of the issues I was having with stamina is the fact that they have access to bleeds. Well, so I'm coming back now with the old school JD scotch tape, right click, no skill Mag DK, as Crotha would like to put it. Anyways, so I was working with Infamous, and we were looking over and molding over a couple of different sets, and so far this is what I've been able to come up with for a open world solo, 1vx style build. I didn't get any footage up for this build, mainly because the pure fact of that I have been streaming with this build on for the last couple of days, and it has been successfully working out quite well in Cyrodiil. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the meat of the build. We're going to go over stats, as well as CP has changed. Gear, of course, will be the number one thing we're going to be going over. And also, we're going to go over a little bit of how to play the build. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. Guys, once again, we are coming back with the old troll build that I brought in, I believe it was right around Horns of the Reach, but this one is going to be a troll build for Wolfhunter, and so the Proctologist is here, and he has definitely got his doctorate's degree, that's for sure. Anyways, let's dive into it, and here's the Proctologist. Okay, so we're running for gear right now, as we do have two-piece Falcon Scoria. Both these pieces are going to be light and sturdy. Now we are running a heavy reinforced chest of Shacklebreaker with a light waist of Shacklebreaker, light gloves of Shacklebreaker, and light shoes of Shacklebreaker, all sturdy as well as a Twin Sisters medium guards, also running sturdy. I do have a stamina glyph on this. I was finding that the stamina glyph was performing very well, so I just didn't even bother changing it. Now, if you guys want to go ahead and change that over to Magicka, you can. Personally, I am preferring the stamina glyph, as of the damage isn't really hurting at all not having a Magicka glyph there. So, that being said, everything else will be Magicka glyphs across the board, so all these are going to be max Magicka. Now, moving on, we're going to go ahead and move over to jewelry. We do have a Twin Sisters neck, as well as a Twin Sisters ring. The neck is going to have a reduced spell cost, and the ring is going to have a spell damage. And the final ring is going to be a Shacklebreaker ring. I did go ahead and go infused. I tested it, and the numbers are higher on an infused piece than having a purple arcane with the weapon, or with the spell damage glyph. So I went ahead and went with infused, and so far I'm liking the performance. Moving on to weapons. Oh, and this infused one's going to have a spell damage glyph on it as well, giving us a total of 262 spell damage off that glyph. And now moving on to weapons, we are running a sword decisive front bar with a shield of Twin Sisters as well. This one's going to be sturdy. I do have max Magicka on this one here, as well as the back bar is going to be a sturdy shield with max Magicka, and this one's going to be decisive. And I went ahead and left the original glyph on here because I was liking the additional stamina sustain on a light attack on the back bar. So the glyph on the front bar sword is going to be a Berserker glyph. Now, what this Berserker glyph is going to do, obviously, is give us the additional weapon and spell damage. Now, for those of you who don't know what Twin Sisters is, this is where the Proctologist cheesy cheese galore is going to come in. So Twin Sisters is going to give us a 2-piece stamina recovery with a 3-piece max stamina with a 4-piece weapon critical, and then the 5-piece is when you block an attack, you have a 20% chance to cause all enemies within 5 meters of you to bleed for 10,330 physical damage over 8 seconds, and this effect can occur once every 8 seconds. Now, for those of you who do not understand anything about bleeds, they are unmitigatable damage. Bleeds go through shields as well. Quite annoying to deal with. So one of the issues that I was having on Magicka was not being able to proc a bleed. Well, I think we went ahead and answered that issue on a permablock Proctologist build. Now here's the other part of the cheesy Proctologist is we are running Scoria. So for those of you who don't know what Scoria is, it's going to give us 1200 health, as well as when we deal damage with a damage over time effect, it's going to have an 8% chance to summon a meteor that deals 12,330 flame damage to a target and 5,720 flame damage to all other enemies within 5 meters. These two sets have a really high synergy, so I definitely suggest running it. I did try Trainee with this build, but Shacklebreaker was just performing a lot better with this particular setup, mainly because the amount of sustain we're able to get off of Shacklebreaker, and since we are a permablock build, the need for a high health pool wasn't really that big of a deal, so I was able to find that running Shacklebreaker was actually a really good choice on this build. So this is going to be the first build I've ever put Shacklebreaker on, and it's the first one, I'm sorry, let me rephrase this, the first one I've ever released with Shacklebreaker, because it's the only one I've ever found to actually perform well. So moving on here, let's kind of go ahead and dive into stats a little bit so you guys can see what we're looking at here. So we're going to move over to the character sheet. Now, as you can see, we are sitting at 33.5k max magic on the back bar with a 35k max magic on the front bar. I found that the damage output on this current setup is actually pretty good. The total damage that we're looking at, fully buffed was right around 3k once we get it fully buffed. So it's a little over 3,000 spell damage with sword and board, so we are hitting pretty hard. The maximum health on the front bar is going to be 22.3, and our maximum stamina is 18,000. Our Magicka recovery is going to be 12.86. With a pot and continuous attack, I was able to get it up to almost 15. It was actually right at 1566, so it's got really good recovery. Health recovery is at 752 because we are using gold food. Stamina recovery is 828. Our spell critical is going to be 42.9, and our weapon critical is 28.2 with 1535 weapon damage. Alright, now looking at resistances, we're going to go ahead and buff up here. So on our resistances are going to be 27k spell resist with 19k physical resist. Our spell penetration is 5,000, well it's 5,100. Moving down, we are using the Apprentice. We are using the Clockwork Citrus Fillet. For those of you who don't know, it's going to give us 3724 health with 351 health recovery, as well as a max Magicka pool of 3458 and a Magicka recovery of 319. So now moving on here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at skills here so you guys can see what we're running on skills. So it's going to be Flame Lash on the front bar, Burning Embers, Engulfing Flames. I preferred that over over Talons on this build. If you want to go ahead and run Talons, completely understand. I just felt like they weren't performing that well for the solo play. If you want to run them in a group play setting, totally understandable and works very well in a group play setting. We are running Fossilize as well as Inner Light on the front bar, and Dragon Leap, of course. Now on the back bar, we're running Coag with Reflective Plate, also Volatile Armor, Structured Entropy, and Cauterize, as well as Standard of Might. Now I really liked the Decisive because it was going to give us the adequate amount of alt regen due to perma blocking. So it works out really well with the synergy of the build because you are going to be perma blocking. And the only time you're really dropping the block is to go ahead and hit a heavy attack or to block cancel some abilities. So just throwing that out there for you. Yeah. Sorry about all the yawning, y'all. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to CP. Now, keep in mind, guys, the CP has changed a little bit. I really am liking the CP setup. It works out really well for me. So let's go ahead and dive into the meat. Here we go. So we are running 43 points into Elemental Expert, as well as 40 points into Elfborn and 2 points into Spell Erosion. That's going to give us 16% Elfborn, 10% on the Elemental Expert, and 209 spell penetration. We're just basically running that in there just to go ahead and get our Foresight, which is going to give us that free spell after drinking a potion, as well as our spell precision, increasing that spell critical by 2%, and giving us Vengeance. So whenever we block 3 spells within 10 seconds of each other, your next Magicka ability used within 5 seconds will always be a critical strike. This is really nice with our permablock setup. Moving on down the line, we are running 56 points into Master at Arms to give us that 20% to direct damage attacks. And we are running 40 points into Shattering Blows, which is going to increase our damage done to players with shields by 16%. I found this to be a really good tree to have, or a really good CP to have, considering one of our biggest problems is shields. So, I suggest using it. Alright, moving on here. We are running 72 points in Thaumaturge. Give us a full 23% increase on our damage over time effects. This is going to affect all of our dots as well as affecting our twin sisters as well. We are running 3 points into Piercing. That's basically just because running 3 points into here is not going to do jack nothing. So I just went ahead and put 3 points in Piercing so we can get that Exploiter, and that's going to give us 10% increased damage to off-balance targets. If you want to run points in enough points to get Tactician, you could. I don't suggest it just because dodge rolling is going to kill your stam, so I don't suggest dodge rolling unless you absolutely have to. Now let's go ahead and talk about the red tree. We're going to go ahead and dive into what I have set up here and why. So the reason why we're running 120 into here is because we are trying to get reinforced. This is going to activate whenever we activate block, or whenever we use block. We're gonna gain a damage shield of 627 damage for 3 seconds, and it can occur once every 10 seconds. It's just going to be a nice little bit of just passive damage mitigation, as well as getting our resilient, so that way whenever we take critical damage we heal for 225 health. This is going to be really important, especially on a permablock build, so keep in mind you're definitely going to want resilient. It's going to keep us at a nice health threshold. Also, phase, whenever you use dodge roll, your physical and spell resistance is increased by 660. This is only going to be important whenever we're dodge rolling out of a negate or some other stupid crap. Now, Invigorating Bash, whenever you use Bash, you have a 20% chance to heal for 1126 health. I do end up bashing a lot. I've noticed with my playstyle, it's more of just like a muscle memory type thing. I just kind of do like a random bash whenever I'm blocking, so a lot of that has to do with me animation canceling, and also animation canceling my light attacks, so I find myself bashing a lot when I do that. Now, moving on, we are running 56 points in Ironclad to give us that 20% reduction to direct damage abilities. I am running 39 points into Spell Shield to give us a full flat mitigation of 5% on spell damage. That's just going to couple with our passive that we already have of 5% spell resistance. So these two together, so that with our passive is going to be a full 10% damage mitigation to spells. We are running 25 points in resistant for 725 critical resist. That's going to put us right at that 5% threshold on critical damage mitigation. As well as moving on over here, we do have 4 points in a light armor focus. That's just going to increase our physical resistance by 413 points. We do have 43 points in a hardy, so that way we can match our spell resistance with a physical percentage. As well as we are running 56 points into thick skin. This is going to help us to get our flat 20% reduction of damage over time effects. This is going to be really important since 90% of the damage is going to kill us on a permablock build is going to be dot damage. So this is going to be really, really important for these builds, these type of builds. Moving on down the line, we are running 37 points into quick recovery. That's going to give us exactly 9% in healing received. Guys, keep in mind this is the most important healing CP tree that we have available. This is more important than blessed, so make sure that you have a lot of points into here. I typically like to be about 10%, but I did want to go ahead and get these mitigations done as well. So moving on down the line, looking at our green tree in the tower, we have 56 points in a Warlord. That's going to give us a 20% cost reduction to our break free, as well as 2 points into bashing focus. As I said before, I do find myself doing some bash attacks a lot of the time. We are running 56 points into Arcanist to give us 12% increased Magicka recovery, as well as 15 points into Mooncalf and 19 points into Healthy. That 15 points is going to give us 4% increased stamina recovery, and the 5% into Healthy is going to give us 5% health recovery there. We are running 56 points into Tumbling to reduce our dodge roll cost by 20%, as well as 56 points into Shadow Ward to give us a block cost reduction of 20%. So all of this is going to be really important for the CP tree. I did find that I was really liking that a lot, and I forgot to say I do have 4 points into Blessed just to make up for that extra 1% that I couldn't put into quick recovery. So now, just to go ahead and talk a little bit about the build. So with this build, I did find that running Twin Sisters on both bars was actually more important. And the reason why I say that was because I was running it at back bar, trying to get more damage on the front bar. But I found that sitting around waiting for that proc on the back bar just wasn't cutting the mustard, and just having it all the time was better. So I'll kind of come over here and kind of show you guys a little bit. So we'll get these guys to attack us. Boom, look at that, already procced. It's got a really high proc chance, and once you get those dots up on them, you'll see they tick fairly quickly here. So we'll go ahead and we'll get him to attack us here. So we're going to dot him up a little bit. Alright, didn't proc yet. Oh, we got a burning proc though. So he's going to go ahead and die before the last proc. It might have been within the 8 seconds. But so it does have an 8-second proc time as well. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put the dots on people, and then when you're looking at the player, right, and once you see that Twin Sisters proc hit them, go ham, okay, because that bleed hurts. It does a lot of damage, and it stacks really well with our other 2 dots. So essentially we're running 4 dots on this build. You want to hit him with this and Entropy while holding block, hit him with the dot, hit him with the embers, and then just sit there and then fossilize him and then go ham once the Twin Sisters procs. So that's just my little go-to on how to really play the build successfully. If you guys do decide that you want to see some footage, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and make a video and give you guys some Proctologist footage. Alright, and so I want to go ahead and thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the build. It is going to be the Proctologist, man. It's striking again. Alright, so the Proctologist is back up and running for the Wolfhunter patch. So yeah, guys, don't forget to go ahead and stop by Dropping Standards. I did go ahead and update the website today as well as I did go ahead and post a couple new videos for all you new PvPers out there as well on the YouTube channel and on the website droppingstandards.com. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section down at the bottom of the page. And yeah, don't forget to hit the subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I appreciate all your viewership, guys, and thanks once again for all the support, and I will see you guys out there on the battlefield. Y'all have a good day.